Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So what I'm going to do today, I will talk about ethics by design. So now you must be wondering, hmm, this guy has been talking about so many design concepts. Now again, another one. Well, the thing is, ethics by design is a very important topic, not just from an exam perspective, but just from a real business perspective, right? I mean, I don't think so. Any customer will be willing to engage with a business who is involved in unethical practices, right? So if you look at this, trailhead diagram, you can see that 90% of consumers believe companies have a responsibility to improve the state of the world, and 86% of consumers are more loyal to ethical companies. So that number speaks for itself, right? Now, the the reason why I'm going to talk about ethics by design, let's say you're building a solution, right? And that solution involves collecting user data. Now, if your software says, okay, we will be collecting user data only for the purpose of certain process, and then we will be deleting that information. If the business don't follow that, that's an unethical way of doing stuff, right? Because you said to customer, we're going to collect your information for a specific purpose, and then we're going to wipe that data off. If a company uses the data to market or target a customer space, right, without letting customer know, that's an unethical way of doing things, unethical way of doing business. Like for instance, right, if you're dealing with the European Union customer, there is something called GDPR. Uh, you know, you need to pay attention to that, right? And other countries have certain other stuff, right? So if I'm in a European EU citizen, right? If I have to deal business say, with a company in New Zealand, they have to cater for the GDPR law, right? Because they're dealing with a European Union citizen. The same goes with if you're dealing with American citizen, they might have different laws, right? So it's about you know what are you doing with the data, right? If you say to customer, hey, we're going to use this data for XYZ purpose, if the customer says, okay, that's fine, then that's fine. But if you're going to say to customer, I'm going to use this data only for, let's say, a certain kind of validity, uh, kind of identity check, right? And then you're going to use the same data for marketing your different brand to the customer, then that's an unethical way of doing things. And that's an unethical design, right? Because you're designing a solution where you very well know that you're not going to, you're designing a solution and you're going to put a banner in front of a customer saying, hey, we want to capture your data. We want to capture your identity information, your login credentials, or your name or date of birth, so that we can do an identity verification. And if you don't mention anything about other stuff that you're going to perform with the user information, then that's an unethical way of doing it, right? Because you are not taking the consent of the user. And ethics plays a very important role. That's why, some of the companies do have an department which normally deals with ethics and standards, right? Facebook has it, Google has it. I don't know about Twitter. Uh, uh, there are other companies, right? Amazon, I presume they might have it. So Microsoft has it. So this is very important for from a business perspective. Also, another thing I just wanted to mention that if your company, right, doing if your company is investing in artificial intelligence or machine learning algorithms, make sure the algorithm is not trained with bias, right? To say, hey, I don't want it to target my product to certain demographics because certain kind of people can't afford it. That's a bias, right? If you're going to introduce that bias to your software, then that is an ethical issue, right? And if, for instance, if you don't want it to target, let's say, expensive smartphones to certain countries, then that's ethical bias because you're assuming that, okay, people from XYZ countries can't afford it. And that's a sweeping generalized statement you're going to feed into a machine learning model, which is not great. So you have to pay attention to all of these things when you're talking about ethics, right? So that's the few things you can, and also the hateful content, right? If you're a social media platform, you should have every moral responsibility to stop the hateful content, racist content, bigotry, all kind of stuff, right? It's an important activity you have to pay attention to, and yeah, and misinformation. That I mean, now I don't really wanted to get into the disinformation or propaganda because it varies from country to country. So what is misinformation for you could be an information for someone, right? So it's a challenging terrain. So I don't really want to get into that. But what I'm trying to say that whatever you're trying to do with your design, just make sure you do it in an ethical way, right? There should be an ethics. There should be an integrity in the stuff you build, the stuff you're going to build, right? Because this will ensure that you will get a loyal client base, which is very important for the sustainability of your business, right? Because if you have a loyal paying customer and who can associate with your brand, because the customer know that you're an ethical company who believes in ethical design, who believes in integrity, then it's not only good for your customer base, but it's good for your business, good for the society you live in because you're giving employment to people, and you're also giving an opportunity to people to get involved in a company which is ethical, right? So it's an amazing thing. So that's why a company who prioritizes ethics by design, I personally believe that's a great company to get involved with in the form of if you wanted to work as an employee or a vendor or a partner, whichever way you look at it, right? So that's one thing I just wanted to mention. So that being said, that's all I wanted to cover in this episode. I hope you find this session interesting. Just let me know. If you want me to change my mode of teaching it different because I do get it right. This certification is a bit dry, right? It's an exciting one, but there's nothing much I can demonstrate because it's mostly theory. Because you need to understand theoretical aspect of how you can do certain things. Uh, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'm not using it slides or other stuff. So that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing Wednesday. Adios.